Hello, YouTube. Welcome to our first Bourbon and Blockchain interview. This is the first of many, and it just so happens that our very first interview is with the one and only, needs no introduction, Prometheus of HectorDAO. Prometheus is, he's obviously one of the founders, one of the developers, um, the voice of the cryptocurrency project, HectorDAO. So without further explanation, sir, it's good to talk to you again.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here, particularly on a podcast named after one of my favorite drinks. That's what really got my attention. It's nothing to do with the friendship.
Yeah. And so to be clear with everybody, so the first time that Prometheus and I spoke, I was working with another group called Kryptonaires. It was a great relationship that I had over at Kryptonaires, and I did interviews over there, and that's where I met Prometheus. And that interview sparked a relationship, a friendship between him and I, where we've continued to speak over time. And as we've continued to speak, we decided to continue to do interviews with this group. So I really do appreciate you continuing to speak with me, and I really value the friendship that we've created over the past few months.
Absolutely, man. The vibes are good. You know, the first time we spoke, we went off on a huge tangent, and I always think that's a good sign. I'm someone who can obviously talk for England, as we say over here in the UK, but to find someone who can keep on that tangent it's a really cool thing. I really value that. So it's great. It's a great friendship that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And also on the same turn, just quick little disclaimers for the video. Obviously, nothing in this video is financial advice. We do have I have a personal relationship with Prometheus from Heck, and I'm an investor. But outside of that, we have no official partnership or relationship. And that's pretty much it. So let's get this thing started. First of all, I'd like to talk about the number one thing of this crypto project is going to be talking about cryptocurrency, but we're also going to talk about spirits and bourbon and vodka and all types of stuff. So tonight, I'd like to hear about what you happen to be drinking.
Well, true to form, I'm drinking 100 proof whiskey. So any of the Hectorians here in the audience, you already know, how it is. But yeah, I'm drinking some Jack Daniel's single barrel 100 proof. It is delicious, I've got to say. And no, I'm not sponsored by Jack Daniel's. I wish, but no, it's great. It's super smooth, actually. I find that's a sign of a good one. Everyone loves a good whiskey where you can sip it and it kicks you. But like this one is just really, really easy to drink. So it's really nice for a late evening, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Is Jack Daniel's something that you've drank for a long time, or is that something new to you?
Oh yeah, a long time. I've got a bit of a collection going on, to be honest. I've been collecting Jack Daniels for it's got to be something like 7 years at this point. So I've always been a big fan. Whiskey's always been my favorite spirit. It's never changed. So naturally, I have a JD collection amongst other whiskeys.
Yeah, so I don't know what your availability is overseas, but I assume Jack Daniel's is readily available in your area.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere, to be honest. JD's
Awesome.
it's probably the single most common whiskey that you can get in bars in the UK, I would say.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I drank a lot of Jack Daniels when I was younger in college, and then I kind of stepped away from it. And then more recently, I've been coming back to it a lot. It's one of those drinks. It's very distinct. It has a lot of that mellow, mallow type flavor to it, and it's just very distinguished. Very, very easy to spot. So yeah, I absolutely love Jack Daniels, and I've never had that 100 proof, but I'm going to buy it now so that we can try it again at another time.
It's worth it. I find with Jack Daniels, it's a very particular taste. Like a lot of the people I've met, it's like Marmite, right? You either love it or you hate it. I happen to
Right.
be in the former camp, but I've met quite a few in the latter. To those people, I say it's an acquired taste, and you're just not ready for it.
Exactly right. Yeah, if you don't like it or respect it yet, maybe you will, or maybe you won't. But it's definitely an acquired taste. So what I'm going to be drinking tonight. So the way that we did this for our first one, and I think we're going to continue to go about this, is our community is a very community driven research community. So we asked for their opinions on as much as we can. So we did a poll, and this was the simple poll that we did about what bourbon should I drink during the interview. And the one that won is Weller Full Proof. And I like Weller a lot. It's a really, really good bourbon. I've tried a few of these, but this is my second time drinking Weller Full Proof. It's just a really, really good bourbon, in my opinion. And if you guys have a chance to get a hold of it, it's amazing. It's just something that it's definitely a specialty type bourbon. This isn't your daily drinker. It's a little difficult to find, but if you guys have an opportunity to find it, I definitely suggest it. So we posted a few pictures of this bourbon in our socials and on our Discord. So if you guys have an opportunity to get some, definitely go out and get some. So I'm going to go ahead and open mine because I've opened it once, but I'm going to open it again. Ooh, that sounded good. And I'll go ahead and pour a little bit.
I feel that you can judge the quality of a whiskey by the noise it makes when you pop it open. And that one
Yeah.
sounded pretty good, I'm not going to lie.
It was better than expected. I thought it was going to be dismal at best, and then it made a nice little pop. But yeah, sir, just
putting on a show for us.
Exactly. Thanks for being here, and cheers, man. Cheers to you.
Yeah, to you too, man.
All right. So how was your holidays?
It was good. I've worked must be 12-hour days, at least 12-hour days every single day from just before November, I guess, a couple of weeks before November, up until towards Christmas. So, suffice to say, I was ready for a Christmas break, and I worked up until like the 24th. And then I just took a couple of days off, and it's really nice to have that time to hang out with the family. I remember when I was young, it was all about kind of the presents and the theatrics of Christmas with Santa and all of that stuff. But as I've gotten older, it's become more about seeing family, and I love my family, man. I'm really lucky that I've got a great connection to pretty much all of my family. So that was the main thing that I really, really valued, and the food. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I did get some
absolutely.
turkey.
Yeah, we talked about that, in some personal chats about how much we're being pulled in different directions daily, and it's really important to kind of try to make room for both, right? And one of the things that's more difficult is when you have a community like yours and like the community that I'm working with my Discord, Bourbon and Blockchain, is you want to give as much time to them as you can because you value that relationship. So I wanted to give a shout out to any of the Hectorians that have come over. Make sure that you rep where you're coming from and show us your melons in the chat. We really, really appreciate all of your guys' support. You guys have been there from the beginning, and you guys have followed me around as well. So thank you for that. And we really appreciate all of the the support that you guys give. You guys have a great community over there in your Discord.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, man. I mean, you're right. There's a kind of a not so much a duty. Duty has more implications of like necessity. It's more of just a passion, I guess, that I just love hanging out with the community. The Hectorians have given me what is quite literally my dream job, and I'm very lucky that I think the first time we spoke, I remember saying this. There's like a level of scalability to hanging out with the community, right? So in the early days, I could answer every single DM without fail and still get a day's work done. And obviously, as we've grown, we've become a pretty massive project, one of the most well-known on Phantom. I think like top 20 on DeFi Llama for Phantom. And obviously with that level of development, things become a bit harder to keep up with. And I still try and do as many DMs as possible. But what I have found is that the Hectorian community has just not stopped being awesome. Like it gets better every day. The moderators are absolutely wonderful at their job, and there's so many standout characters in the Discord. We even have a dude that comes in, and there were two people named Riddler a couple of weeks ago, so they had a riddle battle, and
that's pretty cool.
We assigned a role to them to be the Riddler of the Discord, and occasionally Riddler pops in and throws us some riddles. So we've got a pretty colorful community.
Yeah, it's big shout out to your moderators over there. I enjoy coming over there every single time. I always get positive feedback. I can't spend a ton of time, in other Discords because of the amount of time that I spend on my own. And with that being said, it's almost like a second home to come over there and talk to people and get feedback. You've got Werfs and you've got, all the different moderators that are constantly taking care of the community. And it's just good to see that level of camaraderie. So you guys are doing it right over there. You guys have a great community. And I'd also like to shout out, if I can, I'd shout out to my own moderators because we just started our group. We're what 3 weeks in, I think, and we have a great group of guys and girls that are helping us out. Specifically, they're helping us with the direction, because when we came over and started our project, we didn't really have all of the answers yet. So we're kind of building and manipulating things as we go. We've got researchers, moderators, and everything in there. So, big shout out to the founders group that's helping me with Elmer T. Lee and the Colonel and all those guys, but also our research team with Codace and Hansen, Myron Gaines, Rugsy, Almighty Taz, all of you guys. You guys are doing a great job. Smoky Mountain and King Titus are moderators. You guys are doing a great job. So, that's really what makes these projects great, is the people that are behind it and the people that help you develop those projects. That's really what it's all based upon.
Yeah, people are the most important part of any organization, whether it be for profit, non-profit, whatever it is. The money it's an irrelevance to a certain level. Obviously, money does stuff for you, but like the people are always the most important part of any organization. And I find that, we speak in DMs a lot, and we were talking about moderators a couple of days ago, and I remember we both very firmly agreed on the fact that when you find good people, you stick with them and you keep them, because they reward you 1,000,000,000 times more than anything you can ever give to them. And the mutual relationship that you build with these people, just it pays dividends for years to come. So that's the strategy we've really employed with Hector, and the moderators have really responded to that, and the community too. You look after your community, and your community looks after you. And so it's all about building that trust, building that relationship, and having a good time doing it. God, the memes that come out of the Hector Discord are just fire constantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, your adopted son says hello. He's in the chat. Kerr says hello.
Yeah, we've he's been pushing that one for a while. Hey,
Yeah,
how you
he's
doing,
not giving
son?
it up, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I mean, that kind of brings me more to another thing to talk about is, we do talk in DMs, and, we've built that relationship, but I think more people should hear about, who you are, and kind of where you've come from and what you're experiencing. So, you know, Prometheus as a project developer, as, a CEO, or, the position that you're in with HectorDAO, what is it like to be thrust into a position over the course of about a month where you open up a project and now you're in charge of hundreds of employees and things of that nature for a huge project? What does that feel like?
um, you'd think that would be a really easy question to answer. You'd think there'd be a lot of strong emotions and thoughts attached to it, and there are. But it's well, let's go through them methodically, right? If I can't give a general idea.
Absolutely.
So when HectorDAO started, things were obviously a lot smaller, right? You start at the ground floor, and even then, I had a very kind of strong sense of duty to the project and to the community and to the amazing team that I have surrounding me. And there was a stage where we hit a critical mass, and the project started to grow, and the community just went absolutely crazy. Just exponential growth, and that is an amazing thing. There's no denying it. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. But then comes the stress, and that's natural to anything, right? You get into a position and you're given more responsibility, and the stress comes. And the stress was pretty intense. I'm not going to lie to you. It really was. And for the record, Hectorians and Bourbon and Blockchainers, I'm absolutely fine now. But like when things change that fast, you have a lot of you feel the pressure, right?
Yeah.
Because the project you're launching, and there's like not a whole lot of money and liquidity at stake. And compare that to now, when we have it's like $104 million at stake, and 50 something thousand holders, and like 70,000 Twitter followers, and a good relationship with even the Phantom blockchain itself, the Phantom Foundation, and not to
And not
mention
to
all the
skip
other
that
wonderful
opportunity,
partners.
35,000 Discord members, by the way, which was announced today. Congratulations on that, sir.
Yeah, it's been sneaking up on us. I remember yesterday we had this conversation. We were like, "Yeah, we should probably get a graphic together because 35,000 is coming." And I remember being like, "Yeah, maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe it'll happen tomorrow." And then, bam, wake up and there it is. So yeah, that sneaks up on you. It really does.
Yeah.
But
So for all of that to happen, so quickly, it obviously that's got to be a lot of pressure, and then that's
mm,
where you start to find out who your core team members are, and who you
yes,
can kind of rely on and confide in.
yeah, and the relationship that you build up with your team members through that. it's a baptism of fire in some ways. The level of trust and respect and the strength of the relationship I have with all of the team members is just unbelievably good. There's kind of 7 of us in what we call the core team, and those are the people who are the co-founders. We all started it together, and those 7 people, or those 6 people, myself excluded, are really the only people in the entire world that understand exactly, what each other person is going through. And so the relationship and the bond of trust that you build through that is just second to nothing really that I've ever experienced. And so, you learn who your team members are and you learn who your friends are. And I've got to say, the core team has been just incredible, nothing but supportive of each other constantly. And we're playing a high stress game, right? And to have a team that backs you up like that in any situation, it really does go a huge distance in terms of we all get to focus on what we're experts on because of the other team members pulling in the same direction. And if you don't have a team that does that, you don't succeed essentially. But we're fortunate that we do have a team like that, and it just gets better every single day. So I would say if there was one thing that I've really taken away from it, it's that. It's the bond of trust and the relationship you have with your team members when you are running a project that's this large. It's very difficult to describe exactly how much I trust these people, but suffice to say, I trust them fully.
Yeah, and it shows. It shows because of the direction and everything that your project's going in and how much it does. It's impossible for one person to even manage all of those things. And we'll talk more about that a little bit in the future here in our conversation. But you guys are constantly doing things. You have multiple groups that are working on multiple projects, and we can see it. Everybody can see it, and it's something to admire for sure. Um, so have you, outside of the stress portion of it, have you noticed um, any of this stuff impact your personal life? Have you noticed any of these things transition into your personal life? Because you've got to think that you're doing all of this stuff, and when you're on the computer, you're this huge icon for cryptocurrency, but when you get off the computer, it all stops, right?
Yeah, that is one of those weird, unexpected things that you don't consider until you're in the position. But yeah, so I log on and I'm on Discord and Twitter and YouTube and wherever else you may find me. And I'm Prometheus. And I have a pretty significant following. Even on my private Twitter account, I've got like 13,000 followers. And, there are people with more, there are people with less. I don't tend to compare myself because it's pointless, right? But, to think that, you know, myself as the entity Prometheus was completely unknown like 3 months ago. Nobody knew anything about Hector, the team, the project, myself, and then to suddenly, I'm not going to say famous. I don't really care for fame, to be honest. Well known is probably a much better way to phrase it, but it's a strange thing because then you log off and I do think it's healthy to have a separation between your work life and your life.
Yes.
And I'm fortunate that I get that. But that's not to say that when I'm not at work, I'm not constantly thinking about it, because I am. I have a little bit of a problem switching off sometimes, as I'm sure everybody does. But I'm in a really privileged position that the thing that I can't switch off from is the biggest passion in my life. And so it's really not an issue. It's more of like I'm just excited constantly about Hector and crypto in general and Phantom. So I'm so lucky. I just cannot explain how grateful I am. But there are some very weird things that come along with being in my position for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's a good point to end it with, because is it surreal to step back and look at the relationships that you've created in this short period of time? Because I don't want to butcher the number, but you guys have been around. Hector has been around for 3 months, like around 3 months, right?
Yeah, like 70 days, 2.5, something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
ballpark 3.
Yeah. So with that being said, have you ever stepped back? Have you taken time to step back and look at how much you've accomplished and how quickly you've accomplished it? And furthermore, the relationships that are coming out of this so quickly, have you been able to step back and take a look at that and kind of reassess and assess on how you've gotten there and what you've accomplished?
I mean, I try to stay as grounded as possible because, um, like I said, I don't really care much for fame. It's not that I'm against fame or for it. I'm just kind of ambivalent to it. Like there are good bits of it, there are bad bits of it, but I'm not doing this for fame. And in keeping myself grounded, I try to step back at least 2 or 3 times a week and just think about what is happening. And
Absolutely.
sometimes it fits into my mind, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time, actually, it doesn't. It's a sudden life-changing thing, right? It's myself as a person, my personality hasn't really changed a whole lot. Maybe I've become slightly more diligent and responsible, but that comes with responsibility and is natural of anybody else. But yes, surreal is most certainly a word I would use for it. You've got to think about how much my life has changed in the past 3 or 4 months. I didn't exactly have nothing, but pretty much everything that I owned and all of my time was going into developing something like this. Like Hector didn't just appear out of nowhere, and the skills and the knowledge that myself and my team have didn't come out of nowhere. We spent a very, very long time developing all of it, and so there's that side of it where I can sit back and say, well, I worked really, really hard, and then there's the other side of it where I think, well, the success we've seen is just disproportionately crazy. Like it's wonderful, and it's the best problem in the world to have. It's not even a problem really, but um, surreal is definitely an accurate statement here. And then regarding the relationships, I had a conversation with the founders and well some of the team members of the Phantom Foundation the other day, and I've had conversations with them before, but during that conversation, it really I really noticed that things that had become or were becoming just I don't know. I'm not sure what the word I would use to describe it is, but you have conversations with Phantom, and then I've spoken with leaders of a couple of other chains as well, and I've spoken with David from Strongblock and various other people, some of whom I can't talk about, but it's yeah, for the third time, yes, surreal is definitely the word I would use for this, but it's something I take with honor and a lot of responsibility, and I every decision I make is with the hindsight and the perspective of how do we keep this momentum going? How do we serve the people that have given me my dream job? Um, how do we develop something special? There's the three aims, right? Develop the Phantom chain, give value back to the people, and create a financial center. It's always those three things are always, always, always in my mind. And fortunately, we're seeing the results of attempting to do those things. Phantom Foundation being a big one. We're looking to set up validator nodes, which directly means that we can support the Phantom chain and help it grow. And that's just one of many things that we're doing in that vein. We have the Phantom Faucet, we've got educational stuff and partnerships that are going that way, and we've got Hector University. But it's really nice to have something that is kind of boots on the ground and is happening right now to help us achieve those goals.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I asked you about the partnerships and the relationships, but one of the things you brought up was, speaking with these other developers and things like that. And on a much smaller scale, I've had the opportunity to meet and discuss some wonderful, have some wonderful conversations with industry leaders and developers. And, I don't take that for granted. And when I spoke with you and learned more about your project, and as your project continued to develop, I did my best to try to introduce you to David Moss, who I spoke with early in my interviewing career over at Kryptonaires, and that hopefully that kind of sparked something, and it sounded like you guys were able to get a hold of each other. So, I mean, I think that's part of what crypto's about too, is to link good people with each other, and to if somebody's doing the right thing and they're making an impact, to get them involved with other people and projects that are doing the same thing, because at the end of the day, we all want to make something special. We all want to make it right, but making sure that the right people are in connection, I think that's really important in this space, and that goes all the way down to the end user. That goes down to the community members, even down to a simple small research project like we're trying to do, where you want the right people and you want good people to kind of work together to to develop something special.
Yeah, connections are such a vital part of success in pretty much any field that I can think of. If I could pay somebody to make those connections and make all of these connections happen, and I can say to them, I'd like to speak to this person, and they go and find out how to make that happen, I would. I mean, we have Poseidon, who's our partnership manager, and he does an incredible job of that. So I guess we are paying someone to do that. But Poseidon is a core team member and a co-founder as well. So I guess he empathizes. We the so for those who don't know, and I think a lot of people probably do because they know one of us or both of us, so they were probably there for the conversation. But we brought up David and Strongblock in one of the first conversations we ever had, and we just mentioned, yeah, if you're in the community and you have that connection, help us make it. And then a couple of days later, and I'm on a video chat with David Moss, and these things are how incredible things happen. And this is why we put so much into the community, because the community puts so much into the project. So it's a mutual relationship, and one that we're both very proud to be a part of, I think. So it really is, connections are vital, and they're very, very valued for sure.
Yeah, I think that that's where you see a lot of success come out of certain projects, as well as the relationships that they're building and the people that they choose to create those relationships with. Um, So, as we continue forward, I'd like to start to talk to you a little bit about the overall market and kind of what things have done. And, I don't want to get into specific projects. I know that we've both been involved in looking and observing at what's going on in the market. But I'd like to talk about the recent, uh, I guess, like DAO forks and node forks. There was a recent run where a lot of these projects were opening and closing pretty quickly, and it caused a lot of fear and doubt in the market. I guess my question is, why do you think that these projects are opening? And then, what can these projects do to try to make this better? What can these projects do to try to ensure that this doesn't continue to happen?
Well, opportunity is what's creating the wide variety of projects that you see that are forking from whatever it is they're forking. There's going to be a billion forks a day, right? In crypto, it's open source for the most part, but opportunity and desire, I guess.
Are we are
So
we talking about greed too?
perhaps, yeah. I'm not going to, obviously, I'm not going to name projects here, and I don't think about other projects like that. I try to be really good friends with every developer on the network. I have great relationships with even people in the same kind of relatively the same niche. So, Exodia, Phantom, WagMeDAO, really good friends with all of those developers. But yeah, I would say that there is a certain sect of crypto um, where they see a trend, they jump on it, and then they want to make money out of it. And look, that's fine to an extent, because if you do something that provides value to your users, then what's the damage? What's the problem? But if you do it specifically to make money for yourself, you're not going to succeed. It's not how this
Correct.
works. You
Right.
have to have a passion for what you're doing. You have to want to provide value, and you have to love doing what you're doing. Otherwise, trust me, you're not going to be able to do 12-hour days for 60 days in a row with no weekends and not seeing your friends. You're not going to do it. Like I'd love to say otherwise, but you're not going to be able to do that without passion and without a duty to the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the things that we want to look at as researchers, because, we're trying to create a research group that's more of a community-based research group. And we're looking for certain things. And I don't think that you can only look at tokenomics. I don't think you can only look at one specific item, right? Or socials or a roadmap. You have to look at the totality of circumstances. And one of the things that we need to look at when we're looking for projects that are good projects to look at would be putting in the work ethic, the elbow grease. Who's doing that? And that brings me to another point of why you guys are making all of these changes over at Hector. It's very, very, if anybody in this chat is paying attention to HectorDAO, they're making some big changes. There's a reason for that. And I would like to discuss that with you. Why do you think that it's important or imperative for HectorDAO to make these changes and to adapt?
So I think the key to success in almost any field is adaptability. You have to be able to analyze your environment and start to attempt to make predictions to some extent, I guess, but also to be able to react to what's happening immediately in front of you. Um, we saw, I think it's probably fair to say, meteoric success with our early offerings of rebasing and APYs rebasing, all of the stuff that you're familiar with Hector if you've been here a while. And there is a value to those things. Obviously, there are so many amazing projects. I've already mentioned a couple of them, but there are so many amazing projects who are doing that, and they are killing it, and they're providing value. What we found was that as we grew, our ambitions grew as well. So you set a target and it's like you're on a treadmill. You can run as fast as you want, but it just keeps moving. And so it's important to be able to set targets and hit them, but it's also important to be able to upgrade targets too. And so we got to several targets that we had, and we blew through most of them, to be honest. And then we thought, how do we make this bigger? How do we become, it's ultimately our ambition to become a top 50 global crypto project in any niche. That's a stated ambition, and if we haven't said it publicly in the community, take this as public intent. That is what we're going to do. So we saw this and we said, well, we have all of these resources. We have this incredible community. We have all of these amazing people getting in touch with us with all these incredible, qualifications who want to work for Hector. So let's make this happen. So we did the 2022 utility roadmap. So we asked the community, what do you want to see from Hector? And we've been working on things in the background for a while, but we the community built this, right? Hector is the community. It's not just the token. So we asked the community, what do you want to see? What do you enjoy from crypto? Where's the value? What can we do to make this the best possible project for you? And we took all of those ideas and we picked the best and the most feasible ones, and then we added them to the roadmap and rewarded the people for helping us with those ideas. And that's how you do it. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the master of crypto. I know how to run a project, but I think I've proved that myself and my team are pretty good at it. And if you're a new developer who is going to do that, trust your community. They know what they're talking about. They are the best representation of the future. They really are. And so we decided, okay, here's our adaptation moment, and here's the ambition. Here's the rocket taking off. So we put together teams, we wrote documents, we started making projections for budgets. We hired lots of new developers. We started marketing deals. We started partnerships and relationships, and here we are. And it's moving very, very fast. So, we are positioning ourselves to become one of the biggest crypto projects ever. And I fully believe that we can do it. We just, I've always said, we had a commencement meeting at the start of this year with the team, and I remember saying in that and to the community, scaling is going to be the biggest problem we have here, or the biggest challenge rather. We have the great ideas, we've got the resources to pull them off, but scaling is the challenge that we're going to have. And so far we're tackling it very, very well, and the results of that are going to be shown pretty soon.
Yes, I think that one of the things that we're starting to notice as a group is that the projects, the cryptocurrency projects that are adapting, the ones that make changes, the ones that communicate with their community, that continually update and things of that nature, these are the projects that are standing out and evolving quickly and surviving. And I think that, and I've said this from the beginning, your group and the way that you guys handle your social media and the way that you guys constantly make changes and you're staying updated, that's the way to run one of these projects. And it's noticeable because of the survivability, and how impactful you are, and how how much attention you're getting. I've been showing a whole bunch of socials, for example, top trending currencies. What you're going to notice is all of these things that I'm bringing up have a common theme. You guys are killing it, and you guys are being noticed. You're at the top, and you're not going to get to that without some sort of work, without some sort of plan. And if you guys were to just stay in one spot, if you would have launched your token and not said a word, your project probably would not be as successful. I think that's an understatement. And what we're starting to notice is that other projects are taking note of this type of behavior. Obviously, HectorDAO is not the first project to do this. There's several other projects that are doing this type of behavior, but you guys are doing it right as well. I think that it's very important for projects to adapt. I think it's very important for projects to learn from other mistakes from other projects and to address and fix their own mistakes. And that's something that you guys have continued to do and continue to do going forward.
Yeah, I mean, nobody has a monopoly on methodology. So that I'm not going to spill the secrets of exactly the strategies that we employ and the workflows we have, because why would I? But I want to see other projects, whether they're competing with us or not. I want to see other projects do this, and I want to see other projects keep developing value. I have the privilege to be in touch with a lot of developers on the Phantom Network, and there are so many cool things coming for Phantom. There really are. But it's, as I said, one of the main values that we have at Hector, and one of the main goals is to provide value to the people. And whether it's Hector or not, if we're setting an example, and I would love to think that we are, to an extent. We're not alone, by the way. There are many other people that are killing it in the Phantom space, but to be able to have an influence on how things are going in a more broad sense, it's an honor. But it also, you get that ripple effect of, well, things get better for everyone, and that's really something I want to see. So yeah, it's great to see that the things that we're doing are taking effect, and we're starting to make a difference, and the Hectorian voice is starting to get louder, and it's becoming impossible to ignore.
You're absolutely right. Um, somebody just posted competition drives progression, which is true, and you guys are handling it right with keeping positive relationships with other groups and projects, and learning from each other and developing things together and having that open door of communication. That's the good way to do it. And we've all seen good and bad behavior and tribalism between other groups in cryptocurrency. And to be honest with you, I think that we need to move past that, because it really doesn't benefit anybody. It doesn't benefit anybody else in the space. So I think it's much better to work more as an overall community that's all working towards the same goals rather than work against each other. I think that that's a much more civilized way of progressing these type of projects. Um, Now, specifically, I'd like to get back to some of the upgrades that you're going to be doing. One of them being the Hector ecosystem that you've talked about at length with your AMAs. I do have a few questions that I'd like to ask you about that. One of them being Hector NFTs. You've talked about them, and you've shared pictures of them, and I can bring one of them up. But would you like to tell us a little bit, just a general overview of what Hector NFTs are going to look like and where you see that going?
Absolutely. So Hector NFT was one of the things that we kind of worked on in secret, so to speak. We look at, as open as we are and as I am with the community, there are some proverbial aces up our sleeve, and the reason we keep it that way is because we want to maintain a competitive advantage. So occasionally, there's going to be a couple of things that we do in 2022 that are going to surprise people in a very positive way, and we're going to say, hey, look, we did this and it's releasing very soon. So NFT was one of the things that we started to do in secret, and as utility started to become a bigger and bigger feature of what we wanted to do, we decided to reveal some more about it. In short, I guess if we want to go for a very broad overview, we're entering the NFT space, and then if we go into more granularity, there's two things mainly that we're doing right in that space. The first one is to create a decentralized game. Now, Hector's not becoming a gaming company. We're not targeting exclusively games. Rebasing is continuing, as well as all of our other sub-projects, but we see value in DeFi gaming, and we also just want to create something fun for the Hectorians and whoever else wants to play it too. So you'll play the game and you'll be able to earn rewards, and the NFTs that we're creating are going to be part of that game in a major way. The game is going to be advanced. It's going to be well developed, and it's going to be, I don't make price predictions or anything like that. I don't make predictions on the future, but I really, really like what I'm seeing from it, and I would play it for a long time. So I imagine there's going to be some people that agree with me. The other thing we're doing is NFT staking. So what we want to do is support NFT developers and creators on the Phantom chain. So Phantom's great because the transaction fees are basically free. The time to finality is really, really fast. And those two things are really, really good. They're really conducive to a very healthy NFT environment. And so we want to help NFT developers and incentivize them to come to Phantom and build their NFTs. So what we want to do is create a system where you can advertise and we can curate collections of exclusive NFTs for the Hectorians. So obviously the benefit to the person who's creating the NFTs is that you get a warmed up audience who are already hyped up about your NFTs, so drive sales. And the benefit to the people buying the NFTs is that if you hold them, you're going to get Hector rewards. And then the benefit to Hector is that there are a small portion of royalties, like the vast majority of which are going to go into Hector rewards, by the way. The rest of it will just be used to support the system. And also the attention that we get from doing that, that's half of it. But the other thing is we get to, as I said, help develop the NFT scene in Phantom, because it has the environment for it. It has a really, really healthy set of circumstances for NFTs, and we want to see that grow. And these are all pieces of the puzzle to lead to what I've always called the Solana moments, the explosive growth that I think Phantom is due for. So if we can help put down those pieces of the puzzle and get them in the right place, then we can help that happen, and that's something I really want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see you guys evolve and to take on these different roles and to take on these different projects, and it's more of like a challenge. And when I heard you guys talking about that, it made me think about some of our own stuff that we're doing as a smaller project, and we're more of a community based project. And the fact that you guys are looking at making NFTs as such a large project is very interesting. And I will say it's also cool to hear because in the future, Bourbon and Blockchain is considering making NFTs. We're looking at the functionality of that and how that would scale and things of that nature. But we have ideas for that in the future, and it would be pretty cool to pick your brain, or potentially whatever we could do to try to get that going would be pretty awesome. And I think that's part of what you guys are doing in the space is bringing that to the forefront. And I listened to one of your recent AMAs where you talked about having a potential NFT space for other NFTs as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an expanding offering over time. I'm reading the YouTube comments, Joanne saying, yeah, it was in secret, in quotations. Yeah, I realized that the NFT stuff, I kind of accidentally leaked it like 14 times. I was just so excited. No, yeah, I say in secret, but we did mention NFTs a few times, and then we then revealed that what we were doing with NFTs was far larger than we originally told people. But yeah, in terms of Bourbon and Blockchain NFTs, that would be really cool. When you reach a stage that you're ready to start moving forwards on that, of course, come and speak to all of us at Hector and the team, and we can link you up with contacts, or we can and give you specific advice and guidance, and we can figure it out together.
Absolutely. Um, that kind of leads me into Hector Bank as well. Hector Bank is a big buzzword. If you go into the HectorDAO Discord, Hector Bank's coming up a bunch. Is there anything that you'd like to specifically address? I know that I've gotten a lot of questions about from the community, not just from mine, but also from the HectorDAO community. Are there plans in the future of making Hector a stable coin? Like what do you envision with Hector Bank? Just general questions about that.
So I've said in AMAs a few times, and if you're playing Prometheus Bingo, then here comes one. Financial Center is going to be the Prometheus Bingo item. So we want to position part of Hector as a financial center of the Phantom ecosystem, so that when this growth that we're predicting comes, we can facilitate all of the things that people want to do with their liquidity on the chain. I envision a place where you can lend out and borrow pretty much anything that you want to, and you can get a healthy reward for doing so. We want to keep risk low. There is a partnership that we're developing with regards to that. I can't say exactly what it is, but it's a massive, everybody knows the name of this company. We're going to be using something that they have created in order to help keep the system safe from what I call degenerate trading. So over leveraging yourself and then getting liquidated and causing a cascade and dump in the markets, as we keep seeing from Bitcoin. I really want it to be a center where you can get value from. That's, we always start with like a what do we want this to be in English rather than in Solidity blockchain speak. What do we want this to be? And value is kind of the word that always comes up. So we want it to be a space where you can do pretty much anything you want to in terms of lending and borrowing pools, and do it in a way that's safe and kind of predictable and reliable, I guess. There's going to be some shorter term options there, and there's going to be some longer term options there, particularly when the stable coin that we're developing does release. There will be some longer term options if you would like to do some longer term staking. And those will be very low risk as well. So we're trying to create a diverse spread of things that you may want to do, so that we can serve the needs of the community as best we can.
Yeah, and you know what? I glossed over this, and I want to go back to it really quick because I don't want it to get lost in the mix. But congratulations, personally and as a project, and for the whole entire community. congratulations to receiving the Phantom Foundation Incentives Grant. I don't think a lot of people know or understand what that is because you haven't been able to have an opportunity to talk about it or address it with your community. I'm obviously aware of what it is because I've spoke with you about it, but could you please tell everybody what this is and what you plan on doing with it? And again, that's a huge honor for you and your project.
Absolutely. This is one of the proudest achievements of my entire life. I'm not going to lie. And look, it's no secret. Prometheus is bullish on Phantom. Prometheus loves Phantom, but like it, I really am very, very, very proud of the fact that we've been able to do this. So just massive thanks to Phantom and thank you to the team that we have that we're pushing this to happen as much as we could. So the Phantom Incentives Grant is a grant program that Phantom created where they can reward innovation and positive behavior on a chain and help projects grow with funding. Now, funding is kind of a broad term because in the stipulations they say you can pretty much use it for anything you want to, just don't use it for anything that impacts the chain negatively. That's fair, right? So in real numbers, there's a tier system. So there's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and the rewards increase as you progress through the tiers. And to get into the higher tiers, you need to have higher TVL and it's time weighted. So we are currently in tier 3 and we're right on the borderline of tier 4. So in tier 3, we receive 2.5 million Phantom tokens over the space of 12 months, and they're vested to us monthly starting in February. And then in tier 4, it's more than twice that. It's 6 million, I believe. Yeah, 6 million tokens. So at current prices, on there it says it's like 480k per month. Phantom with its current price is slightly less than that, but it's in the millions of dollars easily. And obviously, if we get into tier 4, it more than doubles. So it's a considerable amount of money and it's a considerable amount of trust from Phantom. So we really appreciate that. What we plan on doing with it is helping development. So that's kind of a broad term. I know that I speak in vagaries a little bit about this sometimes because we're exploring a great deal of options. So, were it a stable coin, it would be fairly obvious what we would do with it. Like it would go into the treasury or be used for specific payments or specific stuff. Because it's Phantom, we have a couple of different avenues we can explore. So I'm strongly campaigning in internal meetings for setting up a validator network for the Phantom chain so we can become a node provider. That directly serves the goal of helping the Phantom chain grow. And it also brings in revenue to the Hector project because we can get money from transaction fees, which then we can use to reward the community in some way. But there's various other options. We can use it to expand the budget for Phantom specific payments that we have to have. That makes things a little bit faster in a lot of ways. We can do pretty much anything that you can do with Phantom coins with that, but those are the two things that we're leaning towards. But I'm particularly campaigning very hard for validator networks right now. I would love to see that happen so that we can set up and really start giving back to Phantom in another way. We've already got the faucet, we've already got various other things, but that's just another kind of rung on the ladder, I think.
I think that's a really good plan. I think that opening up a validator node or multiple validator nodes, however that ends up working out, would be a great play for the whole network. And that might even add another niche to your ecosystem because that's something you hadn't planned for before. And I think that would be a great way also, to give back to Phantom, but also to give back to the project because it's dual service purposes. It'll serve both purposes, not only for FTM, but for HectorDAO. I think that's a really good idea. Obviously, it's not up to just you or myself. It's a community-based project, but that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and we've been having a lot of suggestions from the community, which is always amazing to see on what they'd like to see happen with the Phantom grant. So we've had pretty much every suggestion you can think of by this time. But there's been a lot of support for validator nodes, and I'm really happy to see that. So you can expect some news on that fairly soon. We're doing some feasibility tests. Again, if you're doing Prometheus bingo, here comes test, test, and test. So the meme in the community is that we test everything and multiple times. We test, 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 and then test some more. But we're exploring various things we can do from things like staking and leveraging all the way up to direct treasury input, all the way around to validator nodes. So if there is an option, I can pretty much guarantee to you we've discussed it. But as I said, I'm really campaigning as strong as I can for validator nodes.
Me too. Just to go on the record for that, me too, me as well. I'll take a quick pause here. I want to give you another cheers because I want to make sure that I don't skip out on this amazing Weller that's just sitting here. So cheers, my friend.
And to you too. And cheers to you, Hectorians and Bourbon and Blockchainers.
Absolutely. Cheers to the community. Thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate all of that and all of your support. Going forward, one of the things that really stood out to me is Hector University, and I'll explain why. What we're trying to do here at Bourbon and Blockchain, we're trying to create a community-based research team where everybody gets to participate. But also, what we've developed or what we've kind of decided is we're almost in the mindset of how the project works. We're almost creating a sort of DAO as a research community. We're allowing our members to decide what it is they like, what they dislike, projects they want to talk about, and also collaborate on the research that we do and that we show the rest of the community. So we're giving people the opportunity to be way more engaged than just listening to one person's opinion or a group of people's opinions. I think that it's much more valuable to have a large community weigh in on those things. And we decided that that sounds a lot like a DAO. So we're kind of taking different projects and we're taking the success of other projects and kind of using it as our own. But on top of that, we also want to focus on education. One of the main things that we want to focus on is educating our community on how to protect their assets. So we're talking about security, hard wallets, and things like that, but also on how to conduct research. So we plan on having a whole myriad of educational content that we're going to put together as a group, not with just myself, but other influencers and individuals that want to create videos for our community. And I think that's really important. And not a lot of communities, not a lot of people focus on that type of content. And it, to me, it was really interesting to see that you guys are starting to focus on that type of content. Can you explain why you guys are shifting towards that narrative, why you guys are looking at that, and what drives that that shift in your in what how you would address your community?
Well, one of the goals I stated earlier was to bring value to the people. And if we're going to talk in broad terms, crypto and DeFi is really about handing power back to individuals. And so that doesn't just mean financially. There are many forms of power, and education is most certainly one of the most powerful ones. And so I remember when I came into the crypto space and I knew nothing, just as all of us did. We've all been there. And there were various teaching materials and learning materials, but they were very fragmented. They were all over the internet. Some of them couldn't actually be trusted, as it turns out, and it wasn't easy. And part of getting through that is that you then have to turn around and fix something and help it become a bit easier for the next generation. And so Hector University is about just that, teaching people about crypto, about how to protect their assets, about how to trade responsibly, about how to, even down to things like investigating into smart contracts and looking at audits and stuff, if that's the line of stuff that you want to get into. We'll be letting people play around in a controlled test environment so that they can learn and make mistakes that don't mean anything. And you'll be able to get a lot of experience, and you'll be able to learn a lot about crypto and how it works. And that's really the goal, right? If crypto is going to expand, and it is, there's no doubt. But one of the most important things is knowledge. If I go to somebody on the street and ask them about crypto, they're not going to understand anything for the most part. Some people may. If I go to people who are investing in crypto, it should not be the same case. People investing, if you're investing your own money, you sure as hell should know what you're investing in, and you sure as hell should know how, at least to a certain level, you should know how the system works. So we're trying to address that. It's definitely a passion we have as a team. I wouldn't be here without the education that I've sought in crypto. I have a good friend on Telegram called Bobby, and when Hector started to blow up, he got in touch with me and he was like, "Hey man, how did you learn all of this?" So I sent him a list of like 20 something books, I guess. So I read religiously at this point, not so much right now because I'm fully focused on Hector, but try to learn something new all the time if I can. And look, books are great, but there are easier ways to do things, and so we want to boil that down and make sure that everybody has the access to that, so that they can go on and do the things that they want to do and in a responsible way, and gain value from things and make the most of the opportunities that they have. Because an opportunity without diligence and education can be wasted, and that's certainly not something anybody really wants to see.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's a really good way to look at it. I think that if you educate your members, if you educate your community, you get more value out of that in the long run. And that's kind of what we're focusing on as well. And I think that it's valuable because some people get into this space and they have very little knowledge, and then they find themselves in a position to lose their assets, or they get wrecked on a project because they weren't looking at the right signs, right? So I think that that's really important to look at, and it's commemorable to just see a project this size wanting to focus on that. And going forward in the future, if there's any way that the community can help with that, and give advice and vote into those things, I think that it'd be very valuable to show people how to do the right side of crypto. We talked about that a long time ago. I think we started it in either our first or second time speaking with each other. We said that we want to keep ourselves on the right side of crypto, and this is another example of you yourself sticking to that nature by doing the right thing and giving to your community, not just in the sense of a project and its value, but also earning value and learning from other people in this 35,000 plus member community. So I think that you're sticking to your guns and your values, and you're staying on the right side of crypto by doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, sharing is caring and earning is learning, right? To coin a phrase. Wow, that was oddly poetic. I didn't plan that ahead of time, but I'm impressed with
Wow.
myself.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, you share knowledge with others, and then you learn, and then that develops your life. And look, I'm not an expert on certain topics, and when I say something that is inaccurate, or I express interest in a gap of knowledge, the Ty Lopez comment. I love my books, but you know what I love more? I love my Hector tokens.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, look, there are gaps in my knowledge, and I'm eager to fill those. And the community has sent me so many resources on certain things, and to be able to feed that round and keep it going and keep that train moving is a great thing to do. So, not only is it a nice thing to do, it's necessary. I mean, as the comment on screen right now says, an uneducated user does not only hurt itself, but also the project and the community. That is very, very true. You have people, excuse me, you have people that don't know what they're doing. And look, there's nothing wrong with ignorance. What is bad, though, is refusal to learn, or just the laziness to learn. And most investors are not refusing to learn, and most are not lazy. So the obvious solution is that the resources are not available. And so, that you have a problem statement, you have an opportunity, and then you go and fix it. That's how you get things done. And even in general, there's a ripple effect, right? So there are certain things that happened in my life and my crypto career that led me to this moment. And I feel like a disproportionately effective way to help that happen in future is by providing an education center. And then, maybe in a few years, somebody will say, when they're doing their AMA, they'll say, well, yeah, I really learned a lot about crypto through Hector University, and then bang, there's the value back to the community. And I'm not doing that for name drops of Hector. I'm doing that because I truly believe in people. I believe that people have the capacity to do anything, really, and the world needs more educated and more diligent and more driven people, and I can tackle at least one of those things, so it's my job to do so.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, your perspective on that stuff is crazy, because it's admirable. It's something to look at and to step back and understand where we're all at. And I really do think that the community is what drives all of this. And I talk about that a lot, and I think it gets ignored, or it gets watered down. But without everybody here, without the community, without the listeners, the people that are here live, the people that listen to this a month from now, or several months from now, these projects, and all of this survives because of you. And we should all have a united front in certain aspects with our projects. And to have these valued relationships really is what keeps everything going. So it only makes sense to keep a positive relationship with each other and help each other. So I think that that's a really good goal to continue with going forward with these projects. I pulled up on the screen here kind of your ecosystem and how it works. I have to say that this specific um, overlay that what you've created here is very impressive to look at and how it will work. And to be honest with you, it makes me wonder about how things will happen and what will be next. But do you have any comments about how this will function and what it'll look like in the future?
Yeah, I mean, this is V1, and that's how it is, right? It's the first version to be released is always the one that's going to change the most. And I'm not saying there are dramatic changes coming to this, because there are no changes coming to this as far as plans are concerned right now. But essentially, yeah, the DAO wallet is going to be the outflow wallet, and the Treasury wallet is going to be the inflow wallet. Essentially, is kind of how we're viewing it at this point. So inflows to the Treasury are going to come from the investments we make using Treasury assets. So if you've been voting on your TIPs, you're a part of creating that system. So thank you. As well as bonds and trading fees from certain things that we're setting up too. So if necessary, part of that treasury goes into the DAO wallet, and then it can be used for outflows like buybacks and burns, marketing stuff, development salaries, and all of the things that we need to grow Hector. Flowing into the DAO wallet, this may change a little bit, but in essence, most of the sub projects that we're creating, the revenues will flow into the DAO wallet. There can be changes made. There can always be changes made. We're a community-driven project, but we feel that this is the most effective way to run things for the goals that we have. And it's, as we've tried to simplify it as much as possible. There are some slight intricacies in certain parts of it just because of how certain smart contracts are going to run, but the arrows show pretty much where money's going to end up at some stage. And whilst it may look simple there's a lot of thought that's gone behind all of these decisions. Every single one we've had a meeting for, pretty much, to make sure that it's the right thing to do. But I'm glad the feedback generally was that it makes a lot of sense, and it's nice to have a rough overview so that there's an understanding, because it would be hypocritical of me to say, well, we need Hector University to educate people, and then not educate people. So
Right,
I'm
exactly.
glad that people are enjoying that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the transparency. I think that's a really important thing for projects as well. Not to go on a tangent about that, but transparency is key. And you guys have been transparent, and you guys are, with the things that you can be transparent about. And I think that builds a lot of confidence into these groups. And specifically into HectorDAO, it builds a lot of confidence from your investors. Uh, but yeah, I don't want to take a whole bunch of time from people, and I really do appreciate you being able to stop here and have a conversation with us. I think people learned a lot about yourself and about the project. I'm humbled by the amount of support that we've gotten in our own Discord and Bourbon and Blockchain, and the amount of support that we get from your own community. And it's very good to see that there's still people out there that that have like-minded aspirations in crypto, and that can come together and help each other out. So with that being said, if there's anything that you want to say, if there's anything that you want to address the community about, now's your time, and the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, I would just say thank you for coming. It's always great to speak with you. We get on very well, so it's I'll always have time for Bourbon and Blockchain, or whatever venture it may be in future as well. I really, I say this at the end of every single AMA, but I always express, I think it's important to express this as well, but I always express how grateful I am to the community. I said earlier that I can't believe how cool it is that I get to say this, but I literally have my dream job. That's so rare. It's so, there are a heartbreakingly small amount of people that get to say that, and to be one of the people that does say that, and it's the truth, I feel very, very lucky. So I just want to reiterate, thank you to the community, thank you to the team that I have, and to the moderators and the art team and the marketers, and everybody does a really important job to make this machine work. And thanks to all of those people being so good at what they do, I get to do what I do. So thanks is really all I'd say. If you're not a Hectorian, then you're very, very welcome to come and join us. If you are a Hectorian, then join Bourbon and Blockchain. Let's mix the groups up and share the love.
Yeah, absolutely. And I try to tell people I don't want to be somebody that's looked at as an influencer or somebody that knows something about crypto. That's not my goal. My goal is to just provide information. And I would suggest to anybody in this that's listening to this to go and check out HectorDAO. Do your research. A famous individual that I've talked about before on our interviews, Gary V, he says conduct at least 50 minutes of research before you even think about investigating or investing into a project, because you need to be the expert of that project if you're going to put your money into it. So I would invite you to do your research. If you need help with that type of research, there are tons of groups out there that can help you with that. We just happen to be one of them. It's not the only one. There's several out there that might fit you better. And then there's also the Discord itself for HectorDAO to find a lot of really good information. So, I never want to go on record to say invest in a project. What I would love to be known for is to be the person that says, and I want you to research this project and make your own decision on whether or not this is good for you. And we can help you with that investment. We can help you with that research by giving you all the tools that we have. I mean, we have cataloged every single Medium article. We've cataloged all types of conversations and YouTube videos that describe this project. So if it's something you're interested in, let us know, and we can help you out with that. And that's kind of one of our goals going forward as a group, is to create a catalog of projects and information going forward, and we're working on that now. So yeah, that's what I think the important thing is stop listening to people that are telling you what to invest in. Have the self-confidence and the ability to go in and make your own educated decision. And if you don't have those skills yet, find a group that will help you develop those skills so that you do have the confidence and ability to do that.
Yeah, that is the. I'm not going to sit here and play the role of like I've cracked the code, because I haven't. There are certain. Okay, so here's the advice I would give. Unwarranted advice, but advice nonetheless. People get involved with cryptocurrency generally to make money. And look, nothing I say, nothing Draco says should be taken as financial advice. Do your research. Always, always treat the money that you have with the respect it deserves, and do research. But that being said, if I were to give advice, I would say think about things in terms of habits rather than actions. Single actions don't do anything. A cheeseburger is not going to give you a heart attack. A habit of eating cheeseburgers is going to give you a heart attack, though. Reading, getting hyped up, and look, we've all done it. I've done it. You get hyped up, you get really motivated for that short period of time, and you get one thing done. And it does help a bit. But reading one book, reading one article, spending 1 hour learning is not going to help in the way that you need it to. Turn it into a habit. The habit of learning, the habit of reading, that is what gets you success. I've experienced it firsthand. Learn, that's learn and then teach it to other people. You don't understand something until you can teach it. I really believe that. Learn, that really is the basis of everything. Again, just to reiterate, treat the money you have with the respect it deserves. Do research. Don't follow anyone's words just because of who they are, even if it's me, even if it's Draco. Do research, do your due diligence, and make convicted decisions that you believe in. And that's how I found success, at least. And I hope it works for everyone else too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, one of the things that people in general are starting to fall away from is a personal responsibility for their investments, right? Because at the end of the day, when you find something that you decide to place your investments in, it's your responsibility. You're the one that hit the button, right? And if you weren't confident in that in the first place, then maybe you shouldn't have hit that button, right? So be confident in what you're doing. Be the master of the projects that you know, and you should ask yourself sets of questions um, about the project. And if you can't answer those questions, then maybe it's not time to invest yet. So, I highly suggest that people really put in the time up front to save themselves a lot of headache long term. So yeah, I think that you're going down the right road with that. To me personally, out of everything that you talked about in the new roadmap, everything kind of made sense, right? It was the Hector University that was like a whole different topic, and I was really really impressed to see that. And I think that it's going to really do dividends for not only for your own community, but people are going to learn from that, from your community and from your project, and be able to take that into other projects and bring all of that knowledge over with them and help push it out to other people. And I really think there's a lot of value in that. And hopefully, eventually down the road, when we really have our all of our gears grinding with our project, we can create the same type of value. I think that knowledge is one of the most underrated values that you can give people in any group.
I agree. Knowledge is all you have, really. I mean, it's all that you are is the sum of the knowledge that you have. So feed good knowledge in and you get good results out. It's a mathematical equation. If you want to put it down to that level of things, you put good information in, you get good results out. It's not immediate, obviously. It takes some time to form habits. It takes time to learn things. But, you know, I can just tell you what worked for me, I guess. And here's a weird thing, though. That, like, I don't ever consider myself successful because I don't think it's important to think that. I mean, where is success, right? If you asked me where success was a year ago, it wouldn't be the same thing that I'd say today. I think it's important to be able to value the things that you've done and take stock and think, hey, here's a crazy cool thing that I achieved. But much more important than chasing success is chasing knowledge. You know, I know we joked about the Ty Lopez thing, and he's a controversial figure, and you can think what you want about him, but the sentiment of learning is true. And you know, Gary Vee says it as well. Learn. It really, really, genuinely, that is the secret. If you want to put it that way, it's just hard to do it, right? But it's worth it. It's infinitely worth it.
Yeah, you say learn, but I think it's also take a look around and learn from your surroundings too. And that's unique for you as a project developer, right? Because your surroundings are other huge crypto projects and, you know, multiple chains and all this other kind of stuff. But I really do see that stopping and learning and looking around and observing what's going on around you can help you in your development. And that's with any project. And I think that that's important, and that's something that you guys are doing. And other cryptocurrency projects need to look at that. Other cryptocurrency projects need to look at that and adhere to that because it helps them develop and it helps them learn how to fix issues. So, you know, cheers to you for being able to conduct all of that and to have the foresight to look at those issues and make adjustments on the fly. I think that's very important.
Yeah, and to you, right side of crypto, right? It's good to see somebody pulling in the same direction. You know, I've often thought, and this is like a long term goal. It's not something I'm going to be doing immediately, but I would at some point like to take a more educational role as well in crypto, and maybe, you know, I guess you heard it here first, but like maybe have mentors who are devs or aspiring devs, or even, you know, whatever role that you want in crypto. I'd love, you know, I genuinely enjoy teaching, so I think it would be really, really cool to do. But you know, I'm really not joking when I say that I want to turn crypto into the space that I think it can be. I'm really not joking. I would love to teach people to do that at some point. Not going to be, you know, anytime soon because I have a lot of stuff to focus on with Hector. But I think long term that could be really rewarding and it could make a huge difference.
I agree. I think there's a lot to be said here, and I think there's a lot of unexplored space in crypto. And to be honest, right now the pioneers are people like yourself, people that are leading projects. So I don't think there's a well-written outline or a path for crypto in general. I think that we're creating it as we go, and you being one of these pioneers in crypto and being a large name in cryptocurrency as we continue to grow and the project develops, you will have that opportunity in the future to do that. So that's definitely something to look forward to. With that being said, you know, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all the time that you've given me and everybody here that has come. And it's great to talk to you again on a live interview because I learned so much, even though I get to talk to you more often than most. But it's great to talk to you and it's great to learn about all the things that you and your team are doing.
Yeah, it's great to be here. It's it's always a pleasure. It really is. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you and with the Hectorians as well. So it's part of the job, and it's a part of the job that I love doing. So yeah, I should be thanking you really. I should be thanking the Hectorians for and the Bourbon Blockchainers for making this happen, as well as yourself. It's teamwork makes the dream work, and when you can share value like this, that's where magic happens, I think. So thanks for having me. Definitely.
Absolutely. And for everybody that's listening, there's information in the comments. We have some of the socials that you can look at. We have a link to the Hector Discord, Hector DAO Discord, and also the B&B Discord. Again, I want to thank everybody that has shown up. We had a great turnout. This was our first live interview. It made so much sense to do it with Prometheus. And as we continue forward, we'll continue to try to bring you content. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel so that you can know that we have additional interviews coming up. And again, we really appreciate everybody being here, and we hope to continue to bring you guys content. And I hope to hear from you or see you guys in the Discord. So thank you very much. Have a good night, and everybody, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. Have a good night, guys.
Take care, everyone.
Cheers.